Well. Good evening and welcome to yet another series of the Chief Auditor series. We have today Prabhakar Mukhopadhyay, whom Bigji will uh, introduce a bit later. But this series has been started with the sole intention of disseminating information. And who better than chief auditors of various big groups that we've had coming on till now. So the intention is to get regulators, educators, internal auditors, CFOs, all stakeholders within the community into this series so that we have diverse views about what internal auditing is, what internal auditors should do, and what do we expect in the future from internal audit. And that's the reason why we are here today, and you'll definitely have enjoy the show.
Today, this is the eighth edition of Chief Auditor series, and this series, as Satish has rightly explained, is a great learning resource for internal auditors, for the students, and also it's a great advocacy because we are trying to promote internal audit with the good practices and which are prevalent in industry. So I think that's really great to have such eminent personalities like Prabhakar from such established companies, with the very high governance standards, multinational company, come and speak to us and enlighten everybody about the practices.
Fine. I'll just take 2 minutes or maybe 3 minutes to introduce Prabhakar. Prabhakar is a very old friend of mine. We worked together in two companies, Hindustan Petroleum, L&T, and if you wish, L&T Infotech as well. We've had several other connects as well, but those are on a personal level, which I think I should not go. Let me formally introduce Prabhakar to all of us. Prabhakar Mukhopadhyay is the Chief Internal Auditor and Head of Investigations at Ambuja Cements, which is a subsidiary of the Wholesome Group. He has experience of more than 26 years in the various domains of assurance, finance, governance, reporting, etc. He has risen from the ranks to the current position of being a visionary leader in the space of internal audit. We say visionary leader because he is the recipient of several awards, including one very recently. He has experience of working in various countries across the world. He has worked with reputed organizations like L&T Infotech, Philips, BOC, ITC, HPCL, and the works. Academically, he is a chartered accountant and a cost accountant with Masters in Commerce, what we call MCOM. He's also an associate member of the ACFE and associate member of the IIA. Over the years, he has mentored many professionals towards achieving their career goals. He is also artistically inclined and takes keen interest in singing and dramatics. I'm sure he must be using some of his skills in auditing as well. Prabhakar leads the functions of internal audit, investigations, and internal controls in the current role. He reports to the audit committee of the board and administratively reports to the MD and CEO. He's also a member of the ethical view committee. He works closely with MD and CEO and the CFO and other business leaders on various assurance related initiatives. He's a permanent invitee in the executive committee meetings. He drives assurance activities in alignment with business strategy and key stakeholder expectations. He approaches risks as truly integrated with other assurance functions. He effectively leverages modern technologies to provide more accurate assurance opinion, efficiency gains, and avoidance of repeat issues. Avoidance of repeat issues is, I think, a bane of internal auditing. He leads the investigation activity in ensuring compliance with the whistleblowing mechanism and has been a catalyst in developing value-oriented operating plans with special emphasis to SOX. Currently, he leads the internal control system framework, designing rollout and testing activities as well. So we're very happy to have a person like Prabhakar here today with such a wide experience, such a wide education qualification, such wide interest. And I'm sure, as I said earlier, he'll bring to bear all these qualities in his talk to us and including the question answer sessions. Gear up yourselves for a very, very exciting 45 minutes. Thank you.
A warm welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Satish. Thank you, Dipji, for a beautiful introduction. Actually, in one word, I can tell I'm a passionate internal auditor. And today, actually, I will also try to meet the objectives of this program. Basically, this type of series can be in the archive of internal audit for the future generation, from where they can draw a lot of important guidance and advices. So let me start my brief presentation to you. This is called this Ambuja Cements internal audit journey from my side. First slide talks about the Ambuja Cements Limited. I will not take much time to describe this because Ambuja Cements today, I think, need no introduction in India or in abroad also for the whole SIM group. Basically, two things I just want to highlight here, that normally the cement industry is always having another side of this industry is that environmental pollution related activities, etc. And we are thoroughly taking care for the environment and sustainability, which is in today's buzzword is ESG. And from that perspective, Ambuja is the only cement company in India who are now 8 times water positives. And that has been certified. And for that, our rank in Dow Jones Sustainability Index is very high. We are in the top level companies of that. Secondly, our Ambuja Cement Foundation wing, which is a Section 25 company, they are doing it, the social activities across our plants and across the country on various welfare and socio-economic activities, which is contributing for the society at large in a great manner. Why I touched upon these two, because in today's world, you can do a business, but you should have the license to do the business for only after taking care of the society. So Ambuja, I think, is a front runner in this activity. Another one small point I want to highlight, that originally we have 5 integrated cement plants. Integrated cement plant means, just to touch upon on that for all of you, that cement manufacturing process is a very simple process. From the limestone mines, we are extracting the limestone, then we are crushing it and making it a clinker. And then from the clinker in the cement mill, we are adding fly ash or other additives, etc. I am telling in a very simple language. And then we are making the final product, which is packed into bags, or in the bulk manner, it is distributed through our distribution channel to a market. Now, integrated plant means where the entire activity end to end, from mining to lorry. Actually, we in our terminology, we call it quarry to lorry. That entire activity where it is performed, it is called integrated plant. The grinding units at only where we are shipping the clinker, and then from the clinkerization, from clinker to cement is manufactured only in the grinding units. And bulk cement terminals where we are getting the cement in bulk manner, and also then we are packing it into bags and sending it to the customers. So earlier it was 5. This year we have capitalized one of our biggest project, very prestigious project in Marwar at Rajasthan. And that's why it became 6 integrated cement plants, 8 grinding units, and 5 bulk terminals across the country. Financial, I have taken this figure only from 2020 annual report, because 21, though board meeting is over, then media has already published the result, but I have not given it here. It is 2020, all are available in the website, so you can take it from there. Around 55,000 channel partners across the country. And also we are having the cement capacity as of now is 31.45 million ton per annum. And normally when we are talking about Ambuja, then Another 31 or 32 will be added, which is our associate company, subsidiary company, ACC. So Holcim India together is around 62. We are the second largest after our major, before us is Ultratech, from where Swatis came. And the solution and products of Ambuja Cements, again, it's very popular. So all of you are aware. So these are the brands of Ambuja, and specifically this particular giant strength, we are calling it giant strength. That is the brand. When first I joined this Ambuja Cements through Holcim, the first thing which came into my mind was that if Ambuja like brand, we can create for the internal audit. So can we make this internal audit as a brand, like a brand which Ambuja is carrying it for the past 40 years or 4 decades? And that's the story, or that's the journey today I want to just share with you during the next 20-25 minutes. The internal audit journey of Ambuja Cements Limited, from a promoter-driven organization which started in the year 1985-86. And since inception, the governance was so strong that even though that time the country doesn't require any mandatory requirement of those audit committees, etc., but still we are having the audit committee. And internal audit those days used to report to the audit committee also. However, it has gone through various phases of changes, which is a part of the life, that from the promoter-driven company to multinational company, Holcim took over. Then Holcim got merged with Lafarge, another big giant of cement across the globe. It became Lafarge Holcim. Then last few years back, again, they changed the name from Lafarge Holcim to Holcim. So this is the entire journey. And I'm fortunate enough that me, along with my entire internal audit team, has a part of this entire journey of this promoter-driven organization to today's Holcim, which is a fully multinational company. And at a very crucial time, we passed on. That time, internally, Ambuja was going through the phases of changes in people, process, and technology within the organization. At the same time, we know that internal audit profession itself also was going through a paradigm shift across the globe. Initially, when we started our career in internal audit, we used to call it that is a policing function, and we used to do that transaction level auditing. Then gradually comes the control-based monitoring, and finally we landed up with technology imbibed digitalization and risk-based internal audit. So Ambuja also had gone through that, and how we have processed through, that is the story I'm going to share again with you. Changes as well as challenges always came through our path. It is, if you talk about the people, there are a lot of changes starting from audit committee to the senior management level, including managing directors, CFOs, group level. The people have a lot of changes of the group head audit, etc., etc. There are process change, as I described a few minutes back. Technology also had gone through a huge thorough changes from the manual days to the digital days. But one point was always there in Ambuja, which was the fundamental, or I will say the base of this organization, is the I CAN philosophy. This philosophy is actually coined by our founder chairman. He is still the chairman of Holcim India. He is Mr. Narottam Siksaria. All of you know him for the cement. He's a name in the cement industry itself. So he used to tell that if you give a man orders and he will do the task reasonably well, but let him set his own targets and give him freedom, and his task becomes a personal mission. And that's why very recently there is a book published from his side. It's called Ambuja Story, where the tagline was that some ordinary men created an extraordinary company. So this is the whole philosophy behind this I CAN. So when this internal audit team, we started into this culture, and we are involved deeply into this culture, then along with this all I CAN philosophy, I can tags. We thought that why we should not put our internal audit also as I can change the approach of internal audit. So from that perspective, first we attacked the human assets, because that is the main, I will say, the main bucket of a function. So on the human asset side, actually what we have done is that historically Ambuja was having a very decentralized organization of internal audit function. Located across the plants, there are 52 auditors in different plants in a decentralized manner. And the regional cluster-wise concept was there. So sometimes it was very difficult from the central perspective. What is happening, that corporate functions feeling was not there within the team. So they used to work in a silo. They were very good auditors. Whatever I will tell today, one baseline is that in the old days, I'm not telling that all were bad. Everything was because of the requirement of those days. But gradually we felt that the change is required, and that's why we took these steps to change it. It is all for the benefit of the organization. So what we have done, first of all, we have recalibrated the organization from the plant structure to first to the regional structure, then subsequently to the corporate structure. Today, it is a corporate function, though location-wise there are 4 or 5 locations. Because of the proximity to the plants, we kept the people over there in the regional offices. However, they are wholly part of the corporate function and directly reporting to the corporate office. What we have done also from the people front is that we have clearly prepared the competency needs of those people in the different role. We have conducted Hayes job evaluation for internal audit function alone. And also we identified the gaps wherever they stand as far as technical or behavioral competency is concerned. Then the most important thing we created is the IDP. IDP is the individual development plan. Along with each and every auditor, whoever was there in that particular team, we have prepared the gap analysis. We have identified the training needs. We have gone through the talent development program with the help of in-house HR training team as well as some external support. And then finally, everybody was having a clear goal and key result areas, that what they're supposed to do as an internal auditor in the current scenario and the current situation. That was actually partly missing in the earlier days. And they also started getting too much interest, because it was like a revolving door policy. And after 2 years, 3 years, we started transferring the people also to the line function. And the same way, we are taking subject matter experts in our team to do, because we found that suppose I am going to do a captive power plant audit, it is very difficult as finance person will do a captive power plant audit on the technical side. So we require an electrical engineer. Probably we are sometimes taking it as a guest auditor. Sometimes we are taking it for the full time as a SME who will spend some time in our department, and then they will go to the line function. So this entire structure, when these human assets initiatives we have conducted, then we found we got a very good result. That concept of corporate audit team, actually a lean and thin team actually created gradually from the 50-member team. Finally, we are giving the similar type of reasonable assurance, and more than that, with now a team size of 15 members of internal audit team. And they have a full feeling of the corporate oneness. Then end-to-end process audit, which I will come in my second part of this bucket, and also the conventional audits. What is the conventional audit? I will say we found that the old hands who were from the beginning of the team, they were having certain sometimes investigative type of audits. But ideally in today's world, gradually you have to do a business partnering in your internal audit. So that mindset change was also very much important. And when we started this risk-based approach of internal audit, they also started getting a lot of interest. And when it is in a structured manner, we could convince them that this is the call which is happening in the globally out of Ambuja, and you should first take this in your DNA. Then what I told is that risk-based audit approach we imbibed. I will take some time to explain the existing audit process in this. It is a full-fledged end-to-end process of starting from the risk-based planning to the execution, then the reporting, and then the internal audit evaluation and transfer. One by one, I will go into it. The first step is the planning and execution process, which is we have a very robust model of risk-based internal audit plan, which we are doing it every year during the end of third quarter. We have the financial year January to December. So around September, October, we are starting this process. There are various sub-processes. First, we are identifying the audit universe. From the universe, we are taking into consideration the results of the previous year's audits. We have a mathematical formula. On some other presentation, maybe I will describe in details of how the formula comes and how it is affected. But here I will touch upon the brief processes. Then we are factoring the changes, the importance of the changes in the process, whether it is people-related changes or it is process-related changes. Like I'm giving an example, in 2015, the entire organization also changed from the cluster-based to function-based. So now it is end-to-end vertical. There is one function head sitting in the corporate office. He is in charge of the entire organization for sales and marketing. Another is manufacturing. But earlier, it was regional CEO concept was there. So that has a big impact in my internal audit plan. Then risk results and prioritization of sub-process. It is an IA matrix we have put it, which is an impact probability analysis. And then finally, we are going to the result to the key stakeholders, starting from MD to the unit head, to the audit committee at the end, and to the group also, that what is their expectation on the next year. And we are trying to make it in sync with the business risk matrix, that there is a BRM process is prevailing in the organization. So we are going in sync with the BRM process also, and we are trying to get our process aligned with the BRM process. And then finally, we are placing it in the December audit committee for the approval, and they are approving it. Then the start of the pre-audit and field work starts from the next year. So this is the planning and execution phase. And when I'm talking about planning and execution, the execution parts comes with a very detailed process of the internal audit reports. So our reports are divided into these parts. It is criteria, condition, root cause, risk, recommendation, and management comments. Very structured. So from the plan, we have already identified the scope. Basically, final plan, there is a mathematical number, and that number also came through a very robust process of internal audit risk assessment. So from that, we know where are the risks. So from there, we are preparing the scope and the AWP, which is audit work program. And my people are going to the locations with that audit work program. And then individual criteria wise, they are checking the execution process. It can be data analysis. It can be vouching. It can be interaction with the concerned control owners. It can be any other process of audit execution, whatever is possible. And then after getting the gaps, they are discussing, they are convincing, and then finally they are identifying the root cause. We have a very strong process of identifying the root cause, because ultimately the recommendation is flowing from the root cause, not from the observation or from the condition. And that recommendation has two parts. One part is to take care of the current gaps which have been identified in my observation. But the more important is that what is the futuristic steps management supposed to take to plug that, so that the observation will not be repeated in future. That's why when Satish was giving the introduction, he has emphasized on one of the area, that is repeat observation. Repeat observation is a very, very problematic area. Once upon a time in Ambuja, gradually we felt that internal audit also has a responsibility to help the management to get out of this repeat observation. Because sometimes I found that field auditors have a tendency to go only to the low-hanging fruit and get it and put it into their observation. And they have sometimes too much obsessive about their own observations. They don't want to discuss in a free and frank manner and become empathetic. I will not use the word sympathy, but more empathetic about that person who is handling day to day in that. So he has to first understand what is the pain of the business, and then you have to recommend in such a manner. Ideally, there should be a preventive control, and also there should be a detective control. At least if there is no detective control is possible, that preventive control is must. So from that perspective, we are always dividing our management comments in that manner. There is a rating method, individual observation, as well as overall the audit process. We have a rating mechanism. Rating have a matrix, quantitative and qualitative. And finally, this report we are distributing to the audit committee chairman, MD, concerned function head, and the unit head. And also CC we are marking to the regional head of Holcim and the group head audit of Holcim Group at Switzerland. This is not the end. Immediately after that, we are actually putting into implementation tracker, which is through TeamMate. Our end-to-end documentation is TeamMate, and in that implementation tracker, we are monitoring it, documenting it. If required, if it is a rating is marginal or high, or it is risky, then 100% we are repeating it in the next year without any risk assessment. And also, if it is not, then according to the risk assessment result, we are trying to cover the entire universe at least once in 3 to 4 years. And finally, it comes the stakeholder satisfaction survey, which is people, I remember during my last 27 years, so many times I faced this question that who is doing your audit? So one of the area I always believe, and our team also believe, the stakeholders that satisfaction survey is the first evaluation of the IA function. So we have created that form, and that in that survey form, it is going to the head of the auditee of that particular process after the end of the audit and issue of the report. And he is giving his feedback in a scale of 1 to 6 on different parameters, and it is confidential. He is sending it to me. And wherever there is a rating on any parameter is less than 3 or 3, I am directly contacting that auditee head and I'm asking that what is in his mind and what is the expectation and why he is rating like that, so that I can identify the gap from our team, and then I can mentor that particular person in that manner, or the team as a whole in that manner, so that we can reach to the desired level of the efficiency. Along with that also, we are also ISO 9001 certified, which I will come in the later part of this presentation. This is the one which the other process execution initiatives we have considered, because as I told you during this journey, in the global scenario also the 3 lines of defense concept started. Mostly, if I'm not wrong, in IIA, this came around 2011 or so. And then initially it was mostly important for the financial companies, etc. But gradually for all sorts of industry, it is it became very much important. I am not going into that debate whether currently it is faded out or not, but at least during the journey, we felt that whenever we will be doing the business partnering, we have to keep it in mind that ultimately we have to keep our independence intact, because we can do the business partnering by keeping our independence intact, and very much it is possible, 100% it is possible. And as a result, we instituted the monthly meetings of IA team along with the executive committee, and also I became the permanent invitee of the executive committee. I am not taking part on the decision-making process or the policy-making process, but MD is involving me in each and every decision-making to listen and to give any guidance or suggestions from the assurance and compliance perspective, because his target is 0 non-compliance and 0 repeat observations in the organization. That he has clearly communicated to the entire organization through his communication time to time. So that consulting and advisory activities parallelly is going on, and it is a regular feature that we are doing monthly meetings with the management team to share our observations, our feelings, and also to help them to implement of those observations and to help them in the fulfilling the implementation tracker. Meanwhile, we got the certification of ISO through DNV. This year we got the recertification. And Satish, you know very well that from where I am coming, even in my past organization, it was there are very few organizations in India where in-house internal audit team is ISO 9001 certified. We are one of them. So that's a very good achievement from the team during this journey. And finally, from this execution process also, the result was exactly like the picture which I put it in the top. There were the old process, it was good, but there were too many overlap and all these things. But we tried to make it a very simple process, robust process, giving the reasonable assurance without compromising the independence of the function, but as a business partner in a structured and regular manner. One of the example I'm telling you, there is a big change. The internal audit committee has a regular interaction with me, and also sometimes with some of the senior team members time to time. It is over and above their normal quarterly meeting, as well as per the audit committee charter, we are supposed to meet the audit committee twice in a year in absence of the management representative. But over and above that, also audit committee chairman sometimes talks to me after getting the report copy and continuously discussing where we can do better. And they are also giving very good importance to the internal audit process of Ambuja. Finally comes the digitalization. This is one of the area where actually we have done a good job. Implementation tracker and repeat observation, as I mentioned, our in-house staff of internal audit team member, they have created one dashboard through Google Shoot, which is actually a very good dashboard of the entire internal audit history of the last 3 years, along with, and it is linked with the Team Central portal. And any point of time, the concerned exco and down the line, the P&L head of that function, with a click of a button, can see what are the audit observation of the past, what was the rating, why the rating was like that, whether it was a repeat observation, what is his implementation target date, and not only that, on a proactive manner, if the due date of an observation is the end of the month, in the beginning of the month, the concerned executive committee getting an alert that this month this observation is going to be overdue. So you take the necessary actions to avoid the overdue things. And this is created by one of our team members in IA team, which is really praiseworthy. Data analytics in front of Dipji and Satish, I don't want to explain in details, but we have started our journey in 2017 in a big manner. In fact, our again in-house team has already prepared 195 scripts through ClickView and also through Excel. But I will say we are still in the primary phase of this data analytics. We have to go a long way to reach to that predictive analysis and other results. And this is the audit of tomorrow, actually, or rather today. Data analytics is the core thing which we are focusing continuously on that. We are trying to create our data analytics team also within internal audit function, and audit committee and management also agreed for that. So digitalization also had given a lot of good effects in this journey, which we tried to highlight through this dashboard, data analytics and all. One of the very important point I want to highlight with one slide quickly. I know I'm already almost 20 minutes past. This pandemic, global pandemic, we had an answer to the global pandemic from Ambuja internal audit team. I remember the day, that was 21st March of 2020, when it was announced that everything will be locked down and we have to work from home. And that time, there are 30 audits which was pending for that year for me. And we started thinking that how to do it. But we have taken a very structured approach of remote auditing with the use of this data analytics, and travel was literally difficult, except on the last phase of that year. And with constant interaction with the audit committee, we prepared a white paper on approach on pandemic for doing a remote audit. And they have approved it. And I'm proud to say that our team actually delivered without without any gap of any of the audit which was planned in the previous year for 2021 and for 2020 as well as on 2021 also, because 2021 also is a second wave of pandemic, but actually we are not affected, and we have not lost even a single mandate during this pandemic. And in our teammate also, Satish and Dipji, I just try to highlight one of the area. In teammate, there is a functionality called the time and cost analysis. We utilize that like a software company, because all my internal auditors were at home and we are monitoring constantly, and they are putting the inputs over there as if that each project is a billing project for me, and we have to achieve within this budget, within this time frame, this particular achievement. And now we got such a good result. We have continued this time and cost analysis in the teammate in future also. This is the summary slide of the change management for success. Basically, people always will follow the process, and technology will help to build up those processes, and people have to leverage on the technologies. That is the whole concept of people process technology. And more or less, which I covered in the last few minutes, this is summarized in this particular slide, that this is the journey through which Ambuja Internal Audit had gone and tried to imbibe these phases to overcome and trying to make it a brand Ambuja, which has been recognized by the internal as well as external world with different accolades at different point of time. And finally, now I think we are almost, I think there are also miles to go for I will say creating that sort of impact of the brand like Ambuja giant strength. But we are in the right path, and we are we can now at least metamorphosed into a brand to reckon with the Ambuja giant strength as a brand internal audit. And I think my suggestion to each and every young internal auditor also to dream to make that internal audit also as a brand for his or for their team. When recognition comes, the responsibility also started coming additionally. So as happened also with our team, we have been immediately started assigning the ICS and also the investigation responsibility full-fledged. ICS I am not touching upon in this presentation because that itself is a big subject. But investigation, I will take just one slide for the whistleblowing mechanism in Ambuja, which is a very strong whistleblowing mechanism. And there are multiple reporting avenues through which it is coming to us. And through pre-assessment, we are doing the sanitization, and whichever is going for the investigation, we are determining. We have a very strong ethical view committee. I am a member of the ethical view committee. Legal head is also a member. HR head is also a member. And there was one finance chief accountant is also a member of the ethical view committee. Ethical view committee is directly reporting to the audit committee. We have an ethical view committee charter. We are always conducting our meetings and activity through that charter only. Then whenever we are planning for an investigation, as advised by the ethical view committee, our audit team, there are people who are doing investigation. They're going to the field and follow all the processes. But I will still say that in-house investigation team, sometimes there are some handicap is there because there are certain things, specifically the data privacy related matters. Like say, suppose if I want to verify bank accounts of Satish Chenoy, then it is very difficult for me today, which the police or some outside agency can do. So we have that definitely those areas, but still we are doing it with the help of the group investigation, which is a very strong investigation team at Switzerland. We are reporting to the final output to the ethical view committee, to the management. But again, here I will say our management, specifically the executive committee and managing director, is very, very supportive on this, our process. And I can clearly say he never ever intervened into any of the investigation process. And he also never wanted to be a part of the final closure process. He is clearly telling that ethical view committee will give me the recommendation and I will take the action against that recommendation. And that recommendation will be vetted by the audit committee. And we are presenting to the audit committee also in a quarterly manner. And this is the process we are following for the whistleblowing mechanism in Ambuja. In my opinion, it is a very strong mechanism. However, I think in some cases, probably we have to also think of some co-sourcing with some outside agencies to take some of the help in some of the critical matters, because it's a multi-locational organization, and specifically the plants and all other things are located in the remote locations, and those areas only by the in-house investigation team going there, and only through the market intelligence or through interrogation, sometimes we are facing challenges we are trying to overcome through our investigation competency. Now, what I thought is that this is not a blowing my own trumpet, but what just I wanted to, as because you told me that this is the objective of this series is also for the youngsters,
Yes,
who can make themselves dream for becoming the chief internal auditor in future also. I think that during this type of challenging journey, what can be the exposure of an audit leader? If I introspect my own journey, I found that this was possible for us to do it because we have a very balanced exposure of line of defense 2 and line of defense 3. I am not a person to say that auditor has to be sometimes I heard today, sometimes people says that you are a career auditor. Some people. I have no problem with a career auditor, because if CFO can be a career, if CEO can be a career, why not CIA can be a career? That is my philosophy. But only issue is that if you want to be a chief internal auditor, then I think you should have some exposure of different facets of the business. So then only at the time of interacting with the management, when you will be doing the business partnering, especially in today's scenario, you will get immense benefits out of your exposure of this finance, accounts, or business, I will say. So that actually helped me a lot, which actually translated into demonstrated ability on different organizational turnaround, cultural changes, performance enhancement, and of course the control robustness, which is the basic framework of an ICS and IFC. In India, Ambuja, we are calling it as minimum control standards as per the guideline of the group. The impact wise, now I can proudly say that Internal Audit Department of Ambuja is a sought after department. Sought means SOUGHT, sought after department. And whenever management thinks about anything, about the assurance, compliance, or anything, the first thing is coming into their mind is to call the Internal Audit Department to help us to implement this and to help us to guide in the compliance and assurance function. And that is the best award of our department, nothing else. I think that's the most important, that in-house internal audit department recognized by the management of a big group is the biggest award for any in-house internal audit department. And that was the challenge. That was the journey which we started. We are still in the journey, but at least we have reached to a situation where we could envisage that we can go to the extreme of our final ambition and dream. And what is that dream? My dream, I am a passionate internal auditor. I started my presentation. I have always a dream where the internal auditor will not be judged by the number of exceptions. Satish, I used to hear when during 2010-11 that, sir, I have brought 10 observations, out of which 7 has been qualified for significant observation in audit committee. I felt it very bad. I told, no, you bring me at least 1 observation internal audit report or 0 observation internal audit report. I will be the happiest person. But ideally, you should do the audit in a robust manner and is a proper scientific manner. And that value that should generate from your review for the organization. That is from the function and the role perspective. And as a professional, my dream is that, which I told during my award ceremonies, Institute of Internal Auditors, when I got this Best Internal Auditor Award, I told that I should see that in future a child should state to his parents that I want to become an internal auditor, like I want to become a doctor, I want to become an engineer, I want to become an internal auditor when I will grow. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Prabhakar ji. Thanks a lot for this wonderful presentation. It is beyond words, you know. The presentation which you have made has left me speechless, because, you know, what questions can I ask you? Because all the questions which are there in the mind, on each slide you have given the answers. Whether it is, you know, planning, execution, reporting, values, ethics, whistleblower policy, you know, internal control, you're doing it all. And the statement and the vision that you have said is, you know, wonderful. But still, I think what we have seen is it should be a dream for every internal audit function or every internal auditor around the world. Right. But the transition from those 52 people, they were also doing a great job. So the circumstances and the situation was different, as you rightly put in. So the transition from those 52 people to presently what you have described, you know, the entire presentation thereafter, you know, what has been built and how audit is being carried out. So what are the, and you also said that staff is being, you know, rotated from here to, you know, line functions to the operational areas, and you're taking in new subject matter experts as you desired. So you have built that team, complement of team, which can deliver all this by looking at the people, process, and technology. Now, in terms of in the terms of the transition, if there is an internal department which wants to achieve such a dream state, you know, wants to go to such a level, then what are the pain areas and what are the few steps which they should take, you know, to manage this transition, and how should they go about doing it?
See, good. I got your question. Basically, again, as I bucketed it into three parts, that is people, process, and technology. So all these buckets in people, in process, in technology, all these three buckets, there will be some challenges and there will be some conflicts. As you rightly pointed out, whenever you are trying to do it from say 52 to 15, it is not a journey overnight. It's a long journey from, first of all, the moment you are recalibrating your organogram of internal audit function, along with the process of execution of the internal audit, then automatically your resource planning, that particular process, you will find that there are scientifically, if you put the mandates and if you put the exact requirement, then you will get some optimization through that. But as a head of internal audit, my pain was that suppose I found that today I have 25 people, and through this scientific process, I found that I can manage this exactly the same level of assurance with 18 people. Now, these 7 people, I think we should have that empathy about their career plan. So these 7 people, we have to identify. That's why I told that individual development program we had prepared for each and every person. And accordingly, I started interacting with my counterparts in other functions also. Suppose I remember, at least for the last 9 years, 10 years, I am in Ambuja. If I'm not wrong, at least 10 to 15 people have gone to logistics, finance, sales and marketing, and not only that, and also unit level accountants. So it is not that as a leader, I am just identifying, and from tomorrow I am telling my HR boss, these 6 people are unmapped and you take them. No, I think that should not be the approach, because I am telling them that today you probably don't have that particular business acumen of the plant audits. So it is always better that if you can spend 3 years in one of my integrated plant as an unit accountant, then after 3 years, you can come in an elevated role if you want to build up your career in internal audit. And that also happened. That revolving door policy, what I mentioned, it happened. This is one part of the people which I handle the conflict here in this manner. So I am trying to, I will say, help them and mentor them to build up their career also according to their ambition. Sometimes you will find when you will be talking to the these freshers or the maybe 3 to 5 years experience of professionals, there will be a very big percentage of that fraternity. They don't have actually the dream or vision which they want to do actually. They just came out of campus. I found even in CA campus also sometimes Satish is aware, when we are asking that which function you want to join, they tell, I want to join treasury, without knowing that what is actually the function of a treasury.
M&A.
M&A. If you ask, do you want to join internal audit? They will say, no, internal audit. So that means also you have to market that internal audit branding, and you have to tell it that where are the juices in the internal audit function. So that's the thing, the people part. Process part is the real challenge, because there historically, suppose when there was like an investigative type of audit, there is always a fear psychosis within the auditee at the plant level. The police is coming. Prabhakar's team is coming means police is coming. So try to hide the matters, etc. And I attended one of the communication seminar where Satish invited us in Institute of Internal Auditors. I forgot that person is died. What was his name? So
Arvind Nadkarni.
Arvind Nadkarni. So he told very nice thing. I still remember. All human being has a serpentine brain. And whenever first time you are interacting with that person, that first 5 minutes, he always apply or she always apply the serpentine brain that this person has come to put me some into danger. So there comes the business partnering. I think I also faced this problem when I joined in the new organization in this role. Sometimes that acceptability, initial stage is very difficult. So you have to gradually build up that rapport through your work and value-added suggestions and advisory. There comes the advisory roles. You have to be empathetic with their pain areas. See, I am identifying a particular gap, which is a serious gap, understood. Now you have to increase your listening power. First, listen what is his pain problem, why he is doing so. I have done a research, Deepji. Process non-compliance. Your observations can be categorized into 4 areas. One is process design. Forget about that. There is no design, so observation stands. Then process improvement. That is also you are giving gyans that you can improve in this manner. Another is statutory compliance. This has to be done. You have not done it. The 4th one is the majority bucket of all organizations, which is process non-compliance. Design is there. Person is not following that. Why person is not doing that? I have done research. There are 3 reasons normally people are not doing it. 1, there is no clarity of that particular process. 2, there is an urgency from which they are calling it as a business urgency over the compliance. And 3, discipline. Now, as an auditor, I think we should first identify that out of these 3, for what reason he is not doing. If it is for discipline, no compromise. You have to take the consequence management for making him disciplined if he's an indisciplined person. But if it is first 2, I think as an internal auditor, I have a role to the senior management boss. Your SOP is 2010 ka SOP leke, you are asking 2018 somebody to do some calibration of an OA feeder, which is not practical probably now in this process. So you have to amend it. So there, I think it should not be a part of my observation. Rather, I will love to issue it as a management note for improving that SOP so that this observation will not be found by my people in the next audit. So this is another way of handling and empathetic and helping the advisory in an advisory role to the management. Thus, this is the way, then they will realize that this person is not a police. This person is actually trying to help me to do my job better. So gradually you will get it. But of course, from the people's stage to this process change is much difficult. At least it is my feeling. Third comes the technology, where the challenges is coming is that mindset of the people, and second is the cost. Because as a support function, you always having some cost constraint from the management side, because whenever they are trying to optimizing the cost, the first is coming to the support functions. So they will try to tell you that you try to manage it. So I think there what we have addressed is that first what we have done, that whatever is our existing resource means the technical resource, the digital resource. Like I'm telling you this ClickView was available with us in our logistic function. So what we have done, I took the help of the logistics head to take some of his people in my team to get our people trained to create this logistics dashboard the way they used to prepare, our audit query dashboard also to prepare in that manner. Now you will not believe that some of my internal audit people can write the program of ClickView. So this is the way. Now if I go to my managing director and if I tell, sir, I need X lakhs of rupees, I have tried and I have reached up to this level, now I want to go to this level, you please approve, then I think he will be listening. But in the first instance, if I go without trying with my existing resource, then probably they will learn. And sometimes I feel within your team also, there are people who are very much keen to do all these type of things. Actually, I missed to mention that in 2017, we have started our in-house IT audit. We have conducted in-house IT audit. Subsequently, we have co-sourced with some of the big firms. But I found that in-house IT audit result was also very good. So to answer your question, that the challenges what we failed, the conflict management what raised, we have handled in this manner in these three pockets to overcome and to finally to reach to that level. I hope I answered your question.
Absolutely wonderful.
So I have a couple of observations. One is
Yeah.
I'm happy that you spoke about Arvind Nadkarni. I'm still in touch with his daughter, Pooja Nadkarni, and they continue to run the silent message. And he was a very, very eloquent speaker, no doubt about it. I'm also happy that you converted adversity into an opportunity. Like you said, your time and cost in teammate. You understood that this is a good thing for you and good thing for the organization, and continue to do it, which is the correct way to lead life. I mean, sometimes you stumble upon ideas, sometimes you create ideas, and having got it, you should not lose it. So that's the two observations that I first thought I'll tell you. Even I'm actually loss of words. I started squeezing in, sometimes when you do an audit, you don't get an audit point. Then you somehow start, at least you say, chalo, yaar, last from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock, let me do something and try to get one or two observations. So same thing has happened to me. I also said, from where do I get question? But so I kept on looking at it and all. But one thing I really found, and this has come out from, even before I started thinking, "Arey, kuch hai hi nahi likhne ke liye, to kya likhu?" So the one point was about your shareholder satisfaction survey. I think
Stakeholder.
Stakeholder. Stakeholder. I've written it as stakeholder. I said shareholder. Stakeholder satisfaction survey. And I found this unique. I know you know that in earlier companies also we have been doing it. But what is your assessment of sincerely how fair? Touch your heart and answer this question. How fairly you think that they are, they are accurate in giving their answers? Just. I mean, you don't have to share any secret.
No, good question. Initial stage in the beginning of these things, it was not so encouraging. Sometimes we have to follow up with them to send us the feedback. But and more so, Satish, sometimes it is person specific also. And there was another pain point was there in the initial stage. The survey reply was sometimes directly related to the rating of that audit observation or the audit process. So because if the rating is bad, there is a tendency that probably they will be trying to, but that was the initial pain areas. But what we have done is that I took the help of the audit committee, which I mentioned. Sometimes we got immense help from audit committee, and audit committee chairman took specific initiative, and he personally met in a separate meeting with the executive committee members and MD and CFO, and he clearly told that, boss, I am ultimately responsible for the entire operations of this internal audit function. So this is a mirror for me also from your side. Unless and until you honestly, in letter and spirit, follow this particular process, then it will be difficult also for me to judge that how the internal audit department is progressing. And parallelly, he also encouraged me to take the help of this outside agency to do the ISO certification. So both these things, then parallelly we started satisfaction survey first, then ISO, but gradually that ISO got matured. Now what is happening, if there is a new person coming as the head of the audit, again I have to meet him personally and I have to educate him to some extent. But now more or less it is an established process, and they're giving honest feedback with a remarks column where they're clearly mentioning that which area actually he is feeling bad or feeling good.
Very correct. I mean, I wanted this perspective to come out because we do get into these survey modes and then people have apprehensions. But yes, it is a long and arduous journey. But if we keep at it and our intentions, remember this, if our intentions are clear and the purpose for what we are doing this survey is out, and the auditees see the results of their, if they have given a feedback, whether really the audit department is changing something or giving us a feedback back, I think then we have done our job.
Correct.
So great.
I think Prabhakarji, one question is, you are doing so many things in the company and you have a robust process for doing it. Each of the things, including, when Satish talked about, and you have spoken about the stakeholders satisfaction survey. For everything that you do, there is a process so that it is institutionalized and it's a part of the process. So at the end of the year, or maybe once in 6 months or once in 2 years, you have a dashboard. Do you have a dashboard for value addition in terms of not monetary value addition, but value addition in terms of all the work being delivered by internal audit to the process, in terms of new policies being made or investigations done or audits carried out, improvement areas, or maybe in measurable terms or whatever. So is there because your dashboard, which you talked about in the process, was more about observations, last 3 years, observation recommendations.
That is for the auditing.
That is for the audit. So for the entire internal audit function, what kind of measurement metrics you have, or how can you showcase to the management what has happened for the year?
It is not a digital dashboard, but of course we are doing it through our basically what I am doing to the team first is that is quarterly. I am meticulously meeting all of my team members as a group and doing the I will say again introspection of in the last quarter what we have done well, what has gone wrong, and where we can do better through a dashboard process. And one thing I have copied it from, I have no hesitation to say that Satish actually taught me in L&T, that is we are conducting knowledge sharing sessions within our team also. In between there was some disruption because of the pandemic, but we are doing it in a regular basis. So quarterly and then half yearly I am meeting my management, that is EXCO members, and also to the MD for giving what we are doing in a dashboard form. Again, it is not digitally or that the way you are telling, that is definitely not that manner, but we have a stock or inventory that what actually we are doing and what we are supposed to do and where we are lacking, and ultimately what should be the journey. So that we are doing it on it.
No, wonderful. So you're doing it half yearly basis, you are presenting it, which is very good.
See, even now, Prabhakar has taken away my question. My last question to him was that I just saw your website and I just saw your directors. So you have a very strong audit committee and a very strong board, and of course a very strong audit committee. So my question was just that how do you manage to meet the expectations of an audit committee?
Wonderful. I think it's been Satish, is it okay if I end this?
I don't feel like ending this program, but I think there is a constraint of time, and Prabhakar also had some.
Yeah, sure.
So we can always keep a second meeting.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of this informal way of doing things. Yeah. So great, nice.
Sure, I'll just sum it up. I think first of all, I don't want to spend too much time because this has been like a dream presentation of an excellent internal department. So one should achieve, every internal auditor should try to achieve what has been said by Prabhakar, how a robust internal audit department can function. I think what is coming out very clearly is there has to be a passion by the internal audit function, by the internal auditor, and there has to be a vision where you want to go, and then the strategy to reach there. Then you put it down into goals and then reach there. So, there has to be a vision in terms of, first of all, a passion that I can, what Prabhakar really said, I can, and brand internal audit. So you may call it brand internal audit and say that I can. That's the first starting point. Then have a vision, and then, articulate that people, process, technology, put that in the 3 buckets, and then learn from others, learn internally, learn from outside, learn from anywhere in the world. From operations, like Prabhakar is with the executive committee. So learn from inputs from the operations, ethical committee. So all the committees which are there, all the people which are there outside, he referred about or learning from other chief internal auditors, other companies, from the audit committee members, etc. So, learn from everywhere and ensure that your people, process, technology, the strategy and the objectives are clear, where you want to reach, and then reach there. So I think the most important thing, the most important starting point is the passion for I can. So, brand internal audit. So I think this episode would be really a great learning resource for everyone. Thank you very much, Prabhakar, for such an excellent exposition of, what's happening in Ambuja Cement and the way you have structured the internal audit department.
And I must say, I must say that Prabhakar, I'm so happy to see you, progress so well. All credit to you. I mean, I'm not even thinking of anything, but really all credit to you, the way you've shaped up, and all the best to you as always, or all future endeavors.
On behalf of entire Ambuja internal audit team, my thanks to Sama Audit for arranging this type of events, and which will be of immense help for the future auditors. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye. Bye. Bye.